Let's talk about a Massachusetts case that says that your right to carry a firearm does not end at a state border. What's up, Wolverines? My name is John Crump, and this is John Crump News, where we discuss 2A issues every day. Today, we are brought to you by Gideon Optics. Gideon Optics makes some of the best optics at an affordable price. So why spend money on an optic where you can get a cheaper optic that is just as good? Go ahead and check out Gideon Optics, and for a limited time, you can use code CRUMPY and get 10% off and free shipping on all orders. Okay, let's talk about the Commonwealth of Massachusetts versus Dean Donnell. Dean Donnell was a resident of New Hampshire. New Hampshire has constitutional carry, and Dean Donnell went to the neighboring state of Massachusetts, and he brought his firearms. The thing is that he did not have a concealed carry permit for Massachusetts, so he got arrested for carrying a gun without a license. Okay, before we get too deep into this, I just want to make this very, very clear. This is a district court in Massachusetts. It is a state court. It is not a federal court, and it does not change any laws across the country. So don't go into California or some other commie state with your firearm unless you want to be arrested and you want to fight like this guy has to do. Okay, so Donnell went to Massachusetts with his firearm and was arrested. He is claiming under Bruin that he is allowed to carry a firearm in Massachusetts since he is allowed to carry it in New Hampshire. Massachusetts does not recognize New Hampshire status, but they do have a permit they can get for non-residents that lasts 1 year. The state residents can get a permit that lasts up to 5 years, and he is claiming that that is unconstitutional. The judge in the case seems to agree with him. In fact, they said that him carrying a firearm outside the home is clearly constitutional, so it shifts the burden to Massachusetts. Massachusetts has to prove that the licensing scheme that they have is consistent with the text of the Second Amendment and also consistent with the history of firearms regulations in the country, and the judge says that it is not. The judge states that the state did not show any historical references to show that the state can limit the constitutional rights of a person to their home state. The judge also stated that the state violated the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution and the right to travel. Massachusetts tried to argue that they weren't preventing him from traveling because he could get a non-state resident permit, but that only lasts 1 year, where an in-state resident permit lasts up to 5 years. The judge stated that the state missed the point of the Second Amendment, which I'm pretty sure that they did because they are Massachusetts and they are very, very anti-gun. Massachusetts tried to argue that their licensing scheme is permissible because it keeps certain people from owning firearms. And this is very interesting because the judge listed all the stuff that would prohibit you from owning a firearm and stated that the defendant did not violate any of this. Basically, the defendant was a law-abiding citizen and he just crossed an imaginary line, and that's what got him hemmed up. The judge also pointed to a mall that's partially in New Hampshire and partially in Massachusetts. He points out that if a New Hampshire resident crosses that imaginary line in the mall, that they would become a felon. I'm going to read you part of the conclusion here. A law-abiding resident of New Hampshire who is exercising his constitutional right should not become a felon by exercising that right while he is traveling through Massachusetts merely because he has not obtained a Massachusetts license to carry, which now, under the holding of Bruin, has to be issued to an applicant unless the applicant is disqualified. This is a great point here. The judge goes on to state, this court can think of no other constitutional right which a person loses simply by traveling beyond his home state's border into another state, continuing to exercise that right, and instantaneously becomes a felon subject to a minimum sentence of incarceration. Basically, the judge is saying that he knows of no other right that once you cross the border becomes a felony and can put you in prison. For these reasons, the judge dismissed the case. Now, I want to be very, very clear. This only applies to this one case, and it does not apply overall to the whole entire country. This is a single case. There's no standing for this to have an effect on other cases, although it might. Okay, guys, that is it. This is good news for the defendant. If you head over to Crumpy, my website, Crumpy, I'm not going to say the whole thing, but you can win this. This is a Steyr pistol right here. And with code free CRS, you can get 100 bonus entries. So if you watch the whole video, go put in code CRS, free CRS, all one word, and you can win this pistol. All right, guys, that's it. Stay ever vigilant, stay ever free, keep in the fight. I am out of here. Wolverines, motherfucker.